Welcome to the deep dive. In today's fast-paced world, choosing new tech, especially, a smartphone, can feel like you're trying to navigate a dense fog of information. Every new launch, every spec sheet, every review just adds to the noise. But here's the good news. Cutting through that noise is exactly our mission today. We're diving deep into the latest OnePlus 13 series. We've basically sifted through a mountain of source material, comparisons from sites like Gizbot, Hindustan Times, Financial Express, Money Control, PC Quest. Our goal for you is to pull out the most important bits of info, maybe uncover some surprising facts, and just help you feel really well informed without getting, overwhelmed.
That's right. Think of this deep dive as your personal guide to making a smart decision. Because while all three of these OnePlus 13 models are definitely strong contenders, it's interesting how they really cater to different needs, different priorities. Understanding those nuances, the sort of subtle differences, that's absolutely key to finding the phone that's the perfect fit for you.
Okay, so let's set the stage. Let's meet our three contenders. We're looking at the top-tier OnePlus 13, the value-focused OnePlus 13R, and this intriguing new compact one, the OnePlus 13s. The sources we looked at really lay out their market positions quite clearly. The OnePlus 13 is, it's the flagship powerhouse.
Yeah.
And you'll see it priced around 66,000 rupees, sometimes starting closer to 70,000. Then there's the OnePlus 13R. That's positioned as the balanced value pick. Pretty aggressively priced too, around 44,000, maybe even dipping towards 43,000 rupees. And finally, the OnePlus 13s, described as the compact flagship, expected around 55,000 rupees.
Yeah, and just seeing those price differences immediately signals, the different feature sets, different target users. The real insight here isn't just that OnePlus made three phones, is that they're creating three pretty distinct experiences. So let's unpack what those experiences actually feel like, maybe starting with just how they feel in your hand.
Exactly. Let's get into that first impression, how they look, how they feel, and importantly, how tough they are. The OnePlus 13, for instance, it just feels premium. It's got this ceramic guard front glass, which isn't just a marketing term. It sounds like a real step up in durability, built to survive more than just a minor bump, maybe saving you repair costs. You also get a choice, vegan leather or glass back, and a nice flat 6.82-inch display. But what really stands out, according to the sources, is the IP6869 dust and water resistance. That's top-tier stuff.
Right, proper submersion protection, not just splashes. And if you compare that to the OnePlus 13R, it also has a nice flat screen, a bit smaller at 6.78 inches, glass back. But the rating is IP65. Now, the practical difference there is pretty significant. IP65 is great for, rain, splashes, dust, but it's not designed for being dropped in water like the IP6869 on the 13. So it's good, but maybe not quite as oops-proof as the main flagship.
Okay, that makes sense. And then you've got the OnePlus 13s. Its whole thing is being compact, right? 6.32-inch screen. Slim design, apparently really light too, just 185 grams. But here's where it gets interesting. It has this new plus key, which actually replaces the classic OnePlus alert slider.
Hey.
That's quite a change.
Yeah, it absolutely is a bold move. And the plus key isn't just like a gimmick. It kind of signals OnePlus may be trying new things with physical controls, maybe hinting at future designs, especially for smaller phones. So the takeaway seems to be, if you want that premium feel, the best durability, big screen, the 13 is the obvious choice. But if compact size, lightweight, and maybe something a bit unique like that plus key appeal to you, the 13s is definitely one to watch.
Right. Really depends on what you value more, size or the specific features. Okay, so after you've got a feel for them, the next big question is usually, how fast is it?
Okay.
Let's peel back the curtain on performance. This is where it gets interesting for people who really demand speed. Both the OnePlus 13 and the 13s are using the latest Snapdragon 8 Elite chip. It's a 3-nanometer chip, and that 3nm detail, it matters because it means not just speed, but also efficiency. So better battery life, maybe less heat when you're really pushing it with games or something.
That's a great point, because the efficiency gains can be just as important as raw speed day to day. Now, the OnePlus 13R, it's still running a really powerful chip, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. The sources say it's only slightly behind the Elite. And honestly, for most people doing everyday stuff, maybe even some gaming, you might not notice a huge difference. But if you're a real power user, maybe heavy gaming, video editing on your phone, demanding apps, that Elite chip in the 13 and 13s probably gives you an edge. So the verdict seems pretty clear. 13 or 13s for absolute top performance. The 13R is still strong, especially as a value option. Great performance for the price.
Gotcha. So Elite for the cutting edge, Gen 3 still very capable. All right, after the brains, let's talk about the face, the display, what you're actually looking at all day. How do these screens compare? Because, yeah, that's your main window to everything. The OnePlus 13 gets the big one, 6.82-inch LTPO AMOLED, 120 hertz refresh rate, QHD plus resolution. Now, that LTPO tech is pretty neat. It means the screen can adjust its refresh rate on the fly, saves battery when you don't need super smoothness, ramps up when you do. Clever stuff. And QHD plus Q, that's sharper than Full HD plus Capri, so text, images, video should look incredibly crisp. It's got Dolby Vision support, an A++ rating, and this really high peak brightness, up to 4,500 nits.
Wow, 4,500 nits. That's incredibly bright. Means outdoor visibility should be fantastic, even in direct sun. Now, the 13R and 13's displays, they're also excellent, but slightly different specs. The 13R is 6.78 inches. The 13's is the compact 6.32 inch. Both are also LTPO AMOLED, 120 Hz, but with 1.5K resolution and HDR10+. Now, 1.5K is still really sharp, mind you, just maybe not quite as pixel dense as the QHD Plus on the 13. But interestingly, the 13R also hits that 4,500 nits peak brightness.
Oh, really? So the R matches the flagship on brightness.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive for the value model. Yeah, 13's, though, aiming for that compact size, scales back the brightness a bit to around 1,600 nits. Still good, but not class-leading like the other two. So connecting this back, the 13 clearly offers the sharpest and brightest visuals overall. The 13R gives you that flagship brightness with slightly lower resolution, still great. And the 13s trade some peak brightness for portability. It really makes you ask, how much does that absolute peak brightness and resolution matter for your typical use, indoors versus outdoors?
That's a really good point. Depends on where you use your phone most. Okay, next up, cameras. Always a huge factor for people. A make-or-break feature, you could say. The OnePlus 13 seems to go all out here. Triple 50-megapixel setup on the back, a wide, an ultra-wide, and a 3x periscope telephoto, plus a 32MP selfie cam. The sources basically call this the most versatile setup. Makes sense. But I wonder, is most versatile always the best choice? Like, could one of the others be better for a specific type of user?
That's a fantastic question. Because, yeah, versatility isn't everything. The OnePlus 13R also has 3 cameras on the back, but the specs are a bit more modest. It's got the main sensor, then an 8MP ultra-wide, and a 2x telephoto, and a 16MP selfie camera. So positioned as, a balanced, capable shooter for everyday snaps, but maybe not for the serious photo enthusiast compared to the 13. Now, the OnePlus 13 does something interesting. It drops down to dual rear cameras, a 50MP wide and a 50MP 2x telephoto. So no dedicated ultra-wide lens there. But it boosts the selfie camera back up to 32MP, matching the flagship 13.
Ah, okay. So the 13 sacrifices ultra-wide for a better selfie cam.
Seems like it. So the camera verdict. Based on the sources, if you're a photo enthusiast, want flexibility, landscapes, portraits, zoom shots, the OnePlus 13 is your go-to, no question. But if you take a lot of selfies, do video calls, and prioritize that compact size, the 13s could actually be a really solid choice because of that boosted front camera, even without the ultra-wide on back, and the 13R. It kind of sits in the middle. A decent all-rounder for the price. Balanced, versatile enough for most people.
Okay, that clarifies the camera trade-offs nicely. All right, let's talk power. Battery life and charging speed. Nobody wants their phone dying halfway through the day. Both the OnePlus 13 and the 13R pack, really large batteries, 6,000 milliamp. That sounds huge.
It is huge. That could easily mean all-day battery life for most users, maybe even pushing it to 2 days for lighter use.
Definitely a strong point for both of those. Now, charging is where the OnePlus 13 seems to pull ahead again. It's got super fast 100W wired charging, plus a really notable 50W wireless charging capability, which is still pretty quick for wireless. And it even has reverse charging, where you can charge your earbuds off the back of the phone.
Yeah, that reverse wireless charging is a nice premium touch. The 13 also uses that dual cell battery design, which often helps with charging speed and longevity. In contrast, the OnePlus 13R keeps things simpler. It supports 80W wired charging, which is still very fast. But no wireless charging and no reverse charging.
Okay, so wired only for the 13R.
Right. And the OnePlus 13s. It has a slightly smaller battery, 5,850 milliampere, which is still pretty big, especially for a compact phone. And it also gets 80W wired charging, like the 13R. The sources kind of call it a compact powerhouse for battery life, which makes sense given the size and capacity. So summarizing the battery situation, need wireless charging. Need the absolute fastest wired speed and that reverse charging feature, go with the 13. Want really good battery life in a small package and are happy with fast wired charging. The 13s looks great. And the 13R gives you that massive 6,000 milliamp capacity, but you miss out on the wireless convenience. It's interesting how the 13 really covers all the bases for charging flexibility.
Yeah, definitely the most versatile option there too. So just wrapping up some of the extras, the OnePlus 13, being the flagship, gets other premium bits. Things like eSIM support that digital SIM, really handy for travel. An ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, which is usually faster and more reliable than optical ones, especially with wet fingers. And that top-tier IP rating we talked about. And remember, this starts around 70,000 rupees. The OnePlus 13R, again, that's the value play, around 43,000 rupees. But the sources do mention it might lack some of those extras in certain regions, like the high IP rating, wireless charging, maybe eSIM. So that's something you would need to double check locally.
Good point. Regional variations can definitely be a factor.
And the OnePlus 13 sits in between, price-wise, around 55,000 rupees. Its main appeal seems to be that compact size, still getting the powerful Snapdragon 8 Elite chip and that unique plus key instead of the alert slider.
Okay, so let's bring it all together. The final recommendations, distilled from the sources, to help you decide. Choose the OnePlus 13 if you really want the best of everything. Top performance, most versatile cameras, advanced charging with wireless, premium build, best water resistance. It's the full flagship package. No compromises, really. Choose the OnePlus 13s if your main priority is a phone that's easy to hold and use one-handed. You still get that great performance, excellent selfies, and you might like that distinctive plus key feature. And finally, choose the OnePlus 13R if you want near flagship battery life and performance, but at a much lower price.
Right.
You just need to be okay without wireless charging and maybe the highest IP rating. It's the smart value choice.
So what does this all mean for you? We've unpacked quite a lot here from, the ceramic guard on the 13, that plus key on the 13s, the different chipsets, the display brightness, lots of differences.
Yeah, and while comparing specs like this is super useful, it does raise a bigger question, doesn't it? Beyond these direct comparisons we've talked about today, how much should other factors influence your decision? Things like, say, long-term software update support from OnePlus, or maybe regional availability, making sure the 5G bands work well where you live, or even specific gaming performance benchmarks if that's really important to you. How much weight do those real-world long-term factors carry when you're picking a device you'll rely on every single day? It's not just about the specs on launch day.
That's a really crucial final thought. You need to consider your own priorities, how you actually use your phone day in, day out, beyond just the spec sheet. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the OnePlus 13 series.